Now it's time for our 10-minute speaker. Now, he's going to do his own introduction, his own membership or education moment, and his own presentation all at once. We're going to lump it together. Let's have some fun. Please join me in welcoming Josh Darville.
So my name is Josh Darville. I just want to say thank you guys for letting me be a 10-minute presenter. And a lot of times people think I talk fast, and I do. So that's cool. So I want to let you guys know that I love real estate. That's why I'm in this, and probably because it's the best investments article that you can have on earth is earth. They're just not making any more of it. Plus, when you have real estate, it never goes to a value of zero. Chernobyl.
The chain of disaster is now complete.
Alright, so 90% of all millionaires made their money by investing in real estate. Most of the successful people that have actually that website, most of the people that have made lots of money and been financially successful own property. They own multiple properties. And so this is one of the reasons why I love real estate. Robert Kiyosaki, I don't know if you guys know him, but he wrote this book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and maybe a couple others. But he said real estate investing, even on a very small scale, will be tried and true means of building an individual's cash flow and wealth. He wrote a few other books as well. You guys should definitely check out those. I read a lot, and so I'm always going to be referencing books. A little bit about me. I was in the military back in 1998. I was in satellite communications. I went to Fort Huachuca. Thank you for your support. It is Veterans Day. After getting out of the military, I actually worked with satellite communications in the private sector as well, working with some companies like HughesNet, providing internet to locations far and wide. So I've been in real estate for a while. This was actually the first major I ever sold. Actually, that's a picture of me and my wife, and we had a young child, and I just think it's funny. So sold that one, moved on, and life's good. But I've always been into building and construction, so I've done more than just real estate. I've actually flipped a couple houses as well. This was the first house I ever lived in with my wife, and we fixed it up and made that one go away. We decided we wanted to buy another bigger, better house. So we bought this house. It was about 3,000 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms. It was a great house. This was for my wife's birthday party. I don't know if you can see that, but this was for my wife's birthday party. We had 40, 50 people over. We used to do all kinds of parties. I had a 155-inch projection screen TV, which was great. The neighbors could tell what we were watching all the way down at the other end of the cul-de-sac. So if you see this was our house, end of the cul-de-sac. We had a big pizza pie shaped yard, and it was awesome. It was a great house, except for the one thing that kind of bugged us a little bit. Our neighbors, we had Naked John, then we had Tourette's Tom. And these guys kind of made life a little interesting. You know, the head on the one side of our yard only got so high, and I'm like, John, put some clothes on. So we decided, hey, let's sell this big house because we're not really using it. My 2 kids, they're only 4 and 6 at the time. They still slept in the same bedroom. So we had 2 extra bedrooms, weren't really using it, lots of mortgage payment. So we sold it, we started paying off all of our debt. We bought this terrible little condo. It was suicide blue. I decided that we were gonna renovate that, so I started ripping it to shreds. And nice. This was the 4th house that I renovated. So at this point, I had a lot of the guys that I would use to do electrical, plumbing, HVAC. Yes. And, we made it really nice. And so I overbuilt this one. I still own this one. It's rented today. It's rented for the most anyone's ever rented a property in that building. And that's probably nice. Because it's awesome. Mm-hmm. It's got a his and her shower. It's got Bluetooth speakers in the bathroom. It's nuts, but it was fun. This was another property that I renovated. This is actually digital furniture. I took pictures, but I didn't want to pay the $5,000 to stage it for 3 months, so I paid this one company that came on in. They made all this digital furniture. It was awesome. Helped sell the house. We made a good little profit on that one. And if you want to learn how to flip houses, you can too, for just $19.95. And if you believe that, I got another one for you. you should actually go on a diet. It's called Photoshop, and we can actually make you look really better. Flipping houses is not that simple. It takes a lot of energy and effort. I always say you haven't flipped a house unless you've worn a respirator. It's just, there's a lot to it, all right? So you're not gonna just get up and just go, hey, we're gonna start flipping houses. I like to tell people I'm in sales. If you're a salesperson, you want to be the best possible salesperson you could ever be. And so I looked up best salespeople of all time. You guys recognize any of these people? Oh, yeah. The thing about these guys is they're all selling one to many. They're not all always doing one to one. And I thought, well, that's kind of like marketing. Peter Drucker, he was America's top businessman. He said, marketing and innovation are the two basic functions of business. And I'm like, how do you innovate selling houses? I don't know. So you know what? I'm gonna get really good at marketing. So I started hanging out with all these different guys. Gary Vaynerchuk, maybe you've seen him. David Kurz. David Kurz runs one of the largest real estate companies in South Florida. I hung out with some people that were kind of dragging me down. So I started eliminating all the friends that weren't calling my life to a higher point. I started hanging out with these guys, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna buy you lunch. He's like, you wanna buy me lunch? I was like, yeah, because he was selling $100+ million of real estate, and it was crazy. So this is me in Maui reading his book, Take Action. Great book, I like to read. How'd I get to Maui? Well, my wife works for Citrix Systems. She's awesome, smartest woman I've ever met. Actually, she actually won this award years ago called Women of the Channel. My wife's really, really smart, doing like huge spreadsheets and stuff for Citrix Systems. Oh, that was us whenever we went to meet Dave Ramsey. If you've never met Dave Ramsey, he says,
this is how you get out of debt. You gotta run for your life.
Debt's bad, pay off your debts, which is kind of great, but at the same time, there's a little mixing and mingling I do with Robert Kiyosaki, who says,
and what makes it good debt are the two most important words: cash flow.
There's a good debt and there's a bad debt. Dave Ramsey would not approve. That's me with the Allman Brothers. If you've ever heard of these guys, the Allman Brothers, yeah, those are the guys on $1 Million Listing. So I like to go to little conferences and always hang out with people doing business at a much better level. Part of the educational moment that we're doing right now, there's a step for building rapport. It's called FROG. It's called Family, Recreation, Occupation, and Goals. And so when you're talking to people, you want to relate things to their family so people know, oh yeah, you know, you have family. It's a good way to create rapport. Recreation, talking about things that we do. Occupation, what's your job, and then your goals. So that's kind of the process we're going through right now, and you guys can see that a little bit as well. Oh yeah, that was when Dave Ramsey came to our church. See, my wife and I, we teach Financial Peace University. I say teach, we facilitate it. We play a video, answer questions. But he came to our church, which was kind of cool because he only goes to like 2 or 3 churches a year to actually speak. So I got to meet him again. I did go to the Super Bowl. Interesting fact, just like to put that in there. Worst Super Bowl game you've ever seen. It was like a, what was it? The guy that sang Bruno Mars concert. With a football game kind of on the side. They ran out of beer by halftime. So if you've ever gone to the Triangle Oktoberfest and we ran out of beer, well, the Super Bowl didn't get it any better, and they knew exactly how many people were going to be there. Just got to throw that out there. I did go to campaign manager school in Washington, D.C. I worked with this guy, Marco Rubio. I used to live in Florida. Marco Rubio, yeah, it's the same guy right there. Marco Rubio is kind of a big deal. Grant Wise is a Facebook ads manager for, he's like the guru for real estate and Facebook. And so I like to go and do some training. Mark Keith Robinson, he's a local guy. Oh, wife, kids. Yeah, my kids are pretty cool. They're really getting into spelling. So if you guys know your
Epstein
kids,
didn't kill himself.
somebody pushed it up. I love referrals, and you know, I've been doing referrals for quite a long time. Actually, in Coral Springs, where I used to live, I was one of the top referrers for real estate of people moving out of the area. I did get inducted into the Rotary at Carrie McGregor Downs, and I didn't know this, but the Rotary Club actually is largely known for curing polio. My grandfather had polio. He had crutches and a wheelchair, and so if you want to join a really great cause, the Rotary Club, they're largely credited for curing polio. some really interesting stats. Just kind of throw that out there because, again, we're using family as a way to create rapport and build connections, but that's how I do it. Seth Godin, I don't know if you guys met him. He's another marketing geek. When you're in real estate, for as long as I've been, I was a mortgage broker. Well, I was a loan officer, then I was a mortgage broker. Then I did a bunch of other really interesting jobs for a little while and then I just started learning everything I can. I've taken way more classes than this, but this is just some of the stuff that I can find here. And oh, my kids are awesome. And I just wanted to show you a quick little video. Again, so we'll throw that in there. Books. Wealth Can't Wait is a great book. If you want to get into real estate investing, you should definitely talk to me. There's a whole lot of books you guys should read. And if you want to invest or learn to invest, help me help you. Just let me know and I will help you get into real estate investing. It's a lot of knowing how to avoid the places that you get blown up. My drill sergeant, when I was going through basic training, said if you're gonna go through a minefield, follow somebody because they'll know where to avoid. I've been robbed, had people try to swindle me out of hundreds of thousands of dollars. I've had all kinds of horrible contractors. Obviously not anyone like that. You know, it was just, you gotta know where to say no and where to say yes, and when you're a nice guy and when you're getting taken advantage of. So I work with lots of investors here locally. We can close houses in as little as 21 days. How am I doing on time?
Couple of minutes.
All right, so we can get a cash offer for your house, and that comes through knowing where to go to get those type of people. Cash offers typically are a little bit less than full retail, but you actually get to be in control of your time frame. So there is that. There's this great book called Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone. This is the motto I live by. Success is your duty, obligation, and responsibility. And I love quotes. Here's another great one. Whenever you find yourself on the side of the majority, it's time to pause and reflect. And so I always say that if you're not on the masses, then you're way ahead of them. This was me back in South Florida during a hurricane when I had longer hair. Really, that's just a great photo. I like learning about marketing. Russell Brunson started this company called ClickFunnels. If you know anything about marketing, we talk about funnels, we're talking about traffic, lead generation, how to get leads, how to follow up with them. One-time product offers. I'm a marketing junkie. I mean, like, I really kind of get into this stuff. 7 levels of communication. Michael J. Mayer, I did coaching with him for a year and a half-ish and learned about how to have referral-based conversations and how to get referrals. He's got this groovy pyramid talking about one-to-one meetings being the highest level of communication you could ever have. And that's a great one. This is Sebastian Rusk. He's also a marketing guy. He does a lot of emceeing at different events and stuff like that. So why do I do all this stuff? It's because I know that my kids are gonna leave soon. I only got like 556 weeks left.
Just a weird metric.
Like, you gotta know that your kids are leaving. So, you know, I always thought they're gonna be gone someday. So I better be prepared, because a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, and that's something I definitely wanna do. I pursue wealth. And I want to build it. It's a slow and steady kind of thing. I think people think, oh man, you own a couple rental properties, you must be rich. It's like, well, eventually, it's a slow thing. Compounding interest is the 8th wonder of the world. That's what Albert Einstein said. Now I'm saying it. So you basically got 2 really smart people telling you the same thing. My objective in life is to raise modern day knights. That means kids are gonna reject passivity, accept responsibility, lead courageously, invest eternally, and love unconditionally. That's a little motto we have at our family. Another great book is The One Thing by Gary Keller. If you haven't read it, you should definitely do it. I read a lot.
It doesn't have to be just for real estate.
It's so good. Finish. Great book. This is an awesome book. Highly recommend it. John Acuff. It's so good. If you guys haven't reached the level of success you want yet, you're in good company. This old dude didn't actually become president until 1960, and he just went through all kinds of terrible things that happen in his life, defeat. So keep pursuing what you're doing. It's a slow, steady, the slow and steady wins the race, the tortoise and the hare. It's a true story. This is a house that I actually had Josh take some pictures for, do Matterport. We actually sold that last week for $360,000. A new listing alert, which we did some measurements on. This is a one that is available as of this morning. It's $605,000. It's 4,000 something square feet.
47.
It's a big house. It's got a tenant in it. It's going to be a little problematic. I value the house at about $650,000. It's got a 4 foot by 10 foot island. That's bigger than some kid's bedroom. All right, it's Wake Forest.
What about the problematic tenant?
Yeah, so let's just keep going. I only got so much time.
Okay.
So let's get into what's a good referral for Josh Darvel. Sellers, buyers. And so I want you guys to think, whenever you're going around and you're driving and you see a for sale by owner sign, that I want you guys to understand how to interpret it. They're actually looking for a professional to come on in and help them most of the time. Most for sale by owners, about 80% of them, they list with a realtor eventually. So that's a good lead for me. I'll call them. I love for sale by owners. People that are moving in or out of the area. If you know anybody that's like relocating into or out of the area, that's a good referral. If they're getting married, having a baby, empty nesters. I'll leave that up for a second. All right. If they just retired, they might be downsizing. If there's a death, divorce, or if you win the lottery, yes, please call me. I would love to help those people buy a brand new house. Anyone else who has a desire to invest? This is actually a deal I'm working right now in South Florida. This is an actual deal. The gentleman wants to buy a cash flow property. It's $16.4 million, Ramada Inn. I like working with investors. You got to understand cap rate. You got to understand what is actually happening in order to understand whether or not that how we doing?
You have no timeline.
Okay. So only for geniuses. Anybody? All right. We have another little, I have a lot of YouTube videos. You can probably find me on YouTube. I had one for a little while. It was called Realtors and Cars Getting Coffee. Get out, meet people. You just got to get out and actually continue to tell people what you do. Have those on-ramps to conversations about the things that are going on. I take pictures with people whenever I'm like, hey, I'm going to put you in my phone. By the way, can I get a quick selfie with you? Because I want to know who I'm talking to. And, you do that, you're going to start to have this huge thing of photos in your, you're going to know people. You're going to be able to call them, talk to them, and they're going to know you. You guys have already seen that, and I'll just call that enough. Yep. So, questions?
It's a lot of info. Any questions, guys?
Yes.
Get to hang out with David Kurz and checking everything out.
I'm standing outside waiting for
Everyone, Josh Darvel.
you. Were always taking time,
Everybody, Josh Darvel.
playing with you.
Where you from? What's going on?
My name's Marquise Robbins. With my